What's going on, guys? Alex Linsky here for the Get More Clients Show. Thank you so much for joining us today for episode number 25. Wow, pretty amazing. We did it. Quarter century mark is here. As always, joined by my co-host, Brian Downer. Brian, how you doing, buddy?
Living the dream.
Heyo. And also today we got another special guest. For the first time ever, two guests in one episode. Holy crap. It's very special. We got Cody and Ashlee Campbell in the house. POD Hall of Famers. How you doing?
Woo. Doing great. Glad to be here.
So glad to have you both. If you guys are watching this video, you get to see how beautifully dressed they both are. If you are listening on your podcast platforms, please go to YouTube so that you can actually see how greatly dressed they are and how much underdressed Brian and Alex are. As always, you can find us on YouTube and Spotify and Apple and all the places that you listen to stuff. If you like these podcasts, hit the like or love button. If you hate them, do the same. It helps us anyway. So we're cool with it either way. Today, we're going to be talking about booked appointments, right? We're talking about how to book more appointments and make more sales. A lot of people in the agency space obviously are out there right now talking about how to generate more prospects, what to do on the sales call. But there's a huge misnomer about how to actually get more, because unfortunately, a lot of people just can't book too many meetings. So we're going to talk today with Ashlee and Cody Campbell about how they booked 71 appointments in the last month and then 28 this week alone, which is insane. I don't know how you can manage that many calls. It's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. I'm very open to hearing your kind of feedback and breaking it all down. Let's dive into the first part. Ashlee, we'll start with you. Tell us a little bit about your agency, what you do, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so Summit Creative Marketing is a lead generation marketing agency specifically for credit repair companies. And so we really help not only generate leads, but actually get our clients booked appointments like we get for ourselves.
Hey, do you ever use that as an angle? Like, how do you know that this is going to work? Well, you're on this meeting and we booked 28 appointments this week. Do you ever do that?
Oh, for sure.
That's
I've
awesome.
done that a couple times.
So Cody, what is the separation of church and state in this business? Obviously, first of all, you're husband and wife, right? So that's cool. My wife and I worked together until we had a baby, and now she's full-time mom. But Brian's my work husband we'll go with. We can do that. We can say that, right?
Oh, I'm not okay with that.
Brian's not okay with that? Ashlee and Cody, are you okay with that? Can I call Brian work husband?
I'm cool with that.
You are clearly outvoted here, Brian. Sorry. So that's for you, bro. It is what it is. Work husband. Appreciate you. I clearly wear the pants. So there we go. Cody, what is the breakdown here? Who books
very
the
little
meetings?
pants?
Who takes the meetings? Very little pants. That's great. Who takes the meetings? Who books the meetings? How does it work, Cody?
Yeah, so Ashlee is numero uno. She is the boss. We have an appointment setter who's booking all these meetings, and then I'm taking the majority of the sales calls. And then, obviously with 28 calls in a week, it does overfill, and then that's when Ashlee will take the spillover or anybody that can book direct to her calendar. But for the most part, I'm taking the sales calls, and then Ashlee's got the excess.
Love it. Okay, cool. So let's break this down. How do we book? Let's start with 28 calls this week alone. How do you book 28 calls? Let's just break it down.
Yeah, so first thing, I would say spending a lot of money on ads and then using an inbound sales agent. She's out there hitting the phone. She's getting in contact with people within 15 to 30 minutes of them actually coming in as a new lead. And then really just making sure we got all their qualifying information. Basically the fast contact from when they actually click on our ads. And that's really what's getting these people to book.
Speed to lead is something that's so valuable that I think a lot of people forget. They're like calling people 5-6 hours or the next day after they opted in. They're like, Summit who? Ashlee what? They don't know what you're talking about. 2 minutes later, wow, that was quick. Yeah, I'm open to a meeting. That's pretty awesome. Amazing to see. Ashlee, in terms of handing off sales to Cody, I know that was something that was pretty stressful for you. How's that experience been delegating because you used to not do that?
Yeah, I've always struggled with delegating anything, especially sales calls, because I feel like my baby. But no, it's been great, honestly. I mean, Cody obviously is very intelligent, or I probably wouldn't have married him, definitely wouldn't have married him. So I have full confidence in his ability to do this, right? And so, yeah, it was difficult, but you guys, being in POD has helped tremendously because not only have I gotten training that I, would have had to go search who knows how long for, but then Cody could come in from a completely separate career and just really feel super comfortable that he had all of the support needed to be successful.
Love it.
So one of the things that I think you two do really well with your team, especially, and we kind of brushed over it, but the ISA, the independent sales agent, who on your behalf is calling your leads and then booking them into the calendar for you, correct?
Right.
Cool. How many touch points do you guys have roughly in that first like week to 2 week interaction? And then let's say someone never picks up. How many touch points does that ISA have with them just ongoing and into the future?
Yeah, that's a good question. We have quite a few. Day one, they're getting a text and an email right off the bat. And then our ISA is picking up the phone within those 15 to 30 minutes, calling them 3 times, leaving a voicemail, and then 6 hours later, calling them again that first day, if the time zone works out.
Awesome.
We actually have 2 ISAs for us. And so we have people working from 9 a.m. Eastern until 8 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Thursday. Friday, it's 9 to 5, and Saturday, it's 9 to 5. So we're really trying to cover all of the bases, because those evenings and weekends, they crush it. And usually me and Cody are doing it.
Yes.
We're like, we need help. So yeah.
So I want to touch on something here that I think a lot of people listening, they'll think they're out of scope, right? So we're talking a lot of the vanity metrics here, the wins, right? Okay, we're talking about the 71 booked appointments in the month, the 28 this week alone. We brushed off the topic of how Cody started, which is we spent a lot of money on ads. When everyone says that, that's a huge red flag for people like, oh, well, then is there ROI, is there profit? It's so easy to focus on the vanity metric, right? That's why a lot of people, gurus, are like, we made 100K a month. Also, the profit was 5,000, but we made 100K this month, right? So let's get down to the nitty gritty. Is it profitable? Is it worthwhile to spend money on the ads, to have an ISA call, not just for the time, forget the time for a second, that's very valuable. We're talking strictly cash here. Cody, is it worth the investment?
Absolutely. Our break even on the ads comes back in like 1 customer. So we close 1 client and that's covered. The ISA, the next 2 customers are covered. And then, so yeah, the ROI, it's almost instantaneous when you're getting 71 leads. I mean, you can have a pretty low conversion rate and still make those metrics work for you. So I'd say it's definitely worth it, unless your cost per lead is through the roof, then it's not gonna work.
Love it. Very interesting insight. I wanted to ask you, Ashlee, based on the sales opportunities you're seeing Cody take, and this is going to be a controversial question, but we're going with it. How many of the calls that Cody doesn't close are you like, damn, I would have can close that? Cody, I had to, bro.
My heart.
We definitely have different sales processes and the way we talk to people and things like that. Cody comes from a military background, so he's a lot more rigid, I think, than I am. So
if you didn't see his face, he was highly questionable on that comment. I love it.
But we after every single sales call, because we sit in opposite sides of the house, but we can still hear each other occasionally, and so every sales call we hear of each other, we are just kind of right on each other's backs, like, you should have done this and you should have done that, and just wait till you send that to POD, because they're going to eat you alive for that call.
That's amazing. So I want to touch on that. Go ahead. Continue.
We're good at being husband and wife, but also being business partners.
So I think it was maybe 10 days ago or so, we had a call, and it was not exactly for sales, but of course we're going to end up talking about sales, right? I mean, that's part of it. And on the call, Cody was telling me he had a lead, and I think he said he sent a proposal, or they were like going to decide today. And I was chewing Cody out. I'm like, bro, no more fucking proposals. Get paid on the phone. I don't want to hear this garbage, blah, blah. And I could see Cody getting fired up, not angry, like excited, like, okay, I'm ready. And in the middle of the meeting, Cody had to leave because he had a meeting. And he like slams his hands on the desk, like, I'm going to go get paid right now. You're going to see him and go get paid. And he like runs off the call. Later that day, he's like, got that deposit, got paid on the phone. Let's go. Cody, what was that experience like, being yelled at, and then getting actually paid on the phone?
Well, personally, I love your style of motivation. So when you yell at me, I totally appreciate it. I need someone to hold me accountable like that. And honestly, when it came down to it, just pressuring people a little bit and, recognizing that the sale is mutually beneficial, and then making sure that they understand that, and then go ahead and just be comfortable being uncomfortable asking for that payment. And
love that.
It worked immediately. So.
Super valuable.
That's awesome. And you've grown into that role so quickly, Cody. And I think you've taken it up a lot quicker than most people we've worked with on it. So you should be really proud of that progress for sure.
I agree with that.
I would love to.
I don't think I had a choice.
With Ashlee, she has very small, she's not going to give you a lot of leeway on it. It's got to work now.
And with that many sales calls, like, someone's got to pick up the slack literally and help with that. So that's an impressive feat. I know some people who listen and watch this show are in a place where maybe they don't have the money they can spend on ads quite yet. And I know before you were in a place where you were investing heavily in ads, it was about like 7 sales calls in a month, but then we jumped pretty significantly to the 71, which is crazy, like 10x'd it in a month essentially with ads. But I think some people would be happy with 7 sales calls because they're like not getting them now. What were some of the things you did before you had the money to invest in ads to get these clients that allowed you to then reinvest back into the ads?
Yeah, I think it's probably first important to note that even when we had 7 sales calls, we were still running ads. We just weren't running ads effectively. And
Got
so
it.
I think a common misconception in the agency world, I definitely felt this way for a long time, was it's useless to run ads for your agency because they're so expensive and all of that. I've heard it so many times. And it's like, my cost per lead is $4 now. And it's like, we say we spend a lot of money. We spend between $900 and $1,200 a month. And we're still booking, you know, like you said, we booked 28 calls this week off of, you know, however much money that is, right? So yeah, prior to, we kind of just found our niche, found our messaging, found like our positioning in the marketplace, and then just started running ads. Obviously utilizing you guys and the team to help us optimize those ads is super helpful. But then obviously, again, when you take hundreds of calls per month with people in your niche, you start to learn more and more and more about what they want and how to message, you know, how to message appropriate to them. So that's definitely how we got more calls booked for cheaper. Prior to, you know, spending money on ads or our ads performing well, we were doing a lot of the outbound prospecting, so through LinkedIn and Facebook messages, and that worked fairly well. And it's definitely something that we've slacked off on now because our calendars are so full.
Which is what I want. Which is what I want for our clients.
It's a means to an end, right? That's a means to an end. That's the purpose, right? That's the purpose.
100%.
I love that.
Yeah. So outbound prospecting still works though. So I definitely highly recommend it if you can't spend the money on ads yet, at least to start getting a little bit of revenue to where you can.
Isn't the interesting angle around the hypocrisy of marketing agencies that don't want to spend money on their own ads? They're like, hey, random chiropractor who doesn't understand anything about marketing or advertising, spend $2,500 a month on Facebook. Oh, cool, random marketing agency guy. How much are you spending a month on ads? Me? Sorry, I suddenly became deaf. I didn't hear that question. Say it again. What was that? Me money on ads? No. Why would I do that? That doesn't make any sense. It's absolutely mind-boggling. It's literally mind-boggling how many people are so afraid to run ads. I like to use the frame of scared money doesn't make money. If you are unwilling to invest in yourself, how do you have the ability to go on a call and tell someone to make that investment? The reason I'm telling Cody to get paid on a call is not because I'm telling him to be aggressive or inappropriate. It's because they're putting the money to invest to prove that this works. And by proving it works is by telling them, I got on this call with you because I spent money on ads and this is exactly what you need. And you must do this, not should do this or need it. It's exactly what you must do. It's what you need right now. And that's why you should pay me. It's crazy that most people don't get it. It's a lot easier to go on Instagram and send a DM and take that time or hire a VA to do it. But then when you get on the call, if you're not spending any money on ads, how can you feel confident enough to tell them to get paid? It's just not the same. It's just not the same. I want to switch the angle here for a second and touch on this with Ashlee. Obviously, you mentioned Cody's service before, and Cody, I know we have a kind of a jovial angle here, but to be serious for a second, as I've mentioned to you 100 times over, sincerely grateful for your service and appreciative for you. And Ashlee, for your sacrifice as well, living in Germany for 3 years, I think it was. Is that right? It's freaking wild. Most people don't know that about you guys. Ashlee, what was it like living in a foreign country, trying to run a business in the US, kind of on your own for a while? What was that experience like?
Yeah, difficult, challenging for sure. It got me kind of in a workaholic mindset for sure, just because I was, working when Cody went to work, and then, at 8 a.m. and then Eastern time zone is, what our company hours are. And so I always had to work that as well. So, I was putting in 12, 16-hour days on a regular basis. And then so coming back to the States, it's like, you glorify the hustle and you think it's cool and fun and you're running a business, but it's like, Cody will be the first to tell you, working harder is not smarter. Like, he does not want to do all of these things, So he's like, I want a 4-hour work week. I don't want to work, 18 hours a day. So it's been an interesting transition back to the States for sure. But it was enjoyable while we were there.
Do you still think you have like a hangover a bit of the experience of, I'm used to just working so much? Because obviously I know the answer. We spent a lot of time on trying to make sure you're you're delegating not just to Cody, to the ISA, to Sarah, to your team, to making sure you're not answering 100 emails a day, making sure you're not working from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. And I think this is very relevant for everyone listening about the overworking model. It's like, I say this a lot to people, like no one cares about the richest person in the graveyard. And also you didn't build this business to work all day long, right? So have you felt those hangover effects, and what have helped you kind of learn to delegate?
Yeah, definitely. It's hard to get out of that for sure. And I think that everybody in POD or Scale 7, like we all agree, right? Like it's just something that we all struggle with in the agency world, or anybody that's an entrepreneur.
Me included, by the way, just want to say, me too.
Yeah. So I definitely think there are some residual effects there in terms of how I'm learning to just delegate better is really better processes, and like actually taking the time when I'm doing something, instead of just saying, oh, I'll do it faster, I'll do it quicker, let me do it myself every single time, just taking a little bit extra time during my day to create the processes for the team, and really just trusting the team. It's like we've hired these people for a reason. They're fantastic in everything that they do. And it's like, just give them the ownership to move forward with things the way that they know, that they need to move forward with it. So that's been super, super helpful. And then obviously, like we did in the Scale 7 mastermind call yesterday, it's like, okay, who is the most important person in your life? I put myself as number one on that list, but I wasn't the first person that I actually thought of. I was, 3 or 4. And then it's like, oh no, I am number one. And after that call, I got up and I went to the gym. I wanted to continue working, but I got up and went to the gym.
So grateful you brought this up. Everyone that's listening to this podcast, please do a quick favor. Pause the podcast for 30 seconds after I tell you this. Write down in your head right now the 5 most important people for you. Okay, pause. Okay, so now you're back, right? Ashlee kind of buried the lead there where she said that it was the first person. Ashlee, you were a little bit late to the meeting yesterday. And the reason I did this is Richard Sargent, one of our other POD Hall of Famers, we'll definitely have him on the podcast sometime soon. He called me the other day out of the blue and he's like, Alex, I have one quick question for you. Like, what's up? It's like, who are the 5 most important people in your life? And I'm like, my parents, my wife, my brothers, Ellie, and Brian, right? I said those 5 things, right? And Richard said, where are you on that list? And then he hung up. I was like, damn, oh my God, I didn't prioritize myself. So we did that yesterday on the workshop, and 95% of the people don't write themselves because people are always sharing everyone else. So Ashlee came on, Cody, and I'm like, Ashlee, you share it. And Ashlee wrote herself first, and she's sharing, obviously that wasn't her initial inclination, but it's really valuable to share that. And I'm glad we got to bring that up on the podcast. Brian, I'll kick it back to you.
Yeah, no, that's funny. And I said the same thing to you last night, Alex. You called me and like, hey, Brian, I need your help last night at 7:00. And you're like, I had this call with like a potential lead and this person, but I want to go play ultimate disc golf or ultimate frisbee.
Ultimate disc golf. I love
ultimate
it.
disc golf. It's like ultimate frisbee with disc golf, where you're like fighting each other while playing the golf game. No, but I told you like, bro, you don't prioritize yourself enough to go do it. And you said, that's enough. That's all I needed. And you went and did it. So yeah, I can appreciate that for sure. I'm going to, as we're getting close to the end of this show, kind of reel us back into the ads conversation. I know people who wanted to show up here were interested in how they can get to that point with like, I'm booking this many calls, I'm crushing it. I don't have to worry about prospecting or like annoying people. Their people are coming to me. You said you were running ads and you only had like 7 leads, then it jumped to that 71. What changed for you guys? Like in the ads, was it the copy, the audience, the creative? Like what was the big change?
Yeah, it was definitely copy, creative, targeting. It was all around.
All of it. Just
that's not true. We kept our targeting the same. Now that I think about it, so targeting stayed the same, messaging completely different. We started to be extremely transparent in the ads. We, in some of the ads, even give pricing on some things because people oftentimes ask. That's the first thing that they ask.
That's the first thing.
We do it for some of our clients as well, and those ads perform and they drive better leads. I know you shouldn't always do that, but we test it. So yeah, it's definitely something that works for us. And then, we use kind of what you would see as a traditional agency ad. We do a lot of research on our competitors and what ads they're running. And then we try to go just extremely outside of the box. Like I have some ads running right now that I was like, these are never going to work. Like I showed Cody and he's like, I don't know about those. And they're crushing it. Like we went from about a $6 cost per lead. And then of course, like the frequency got too high on the ads. And so then we were at $8 or $9. And I was like, I have to try something new, run these crazy looking ads. And our cost per lead is lower than it ever has been at $4. So it worked out, just kind of taking those chances.
When you say crazy looking, just like out there, like design or like creative and images and stuff.
Yeah, just things that you wouldn't find like a traditional agency ad or sales ad for. So yeah, they're just happy to share in the comments if anybody, you know, listening to it on Facebook or in the group wants to see.
That's awesome.
Like a pattern interrupt, right?
Yeah, exactly. Damn it, Alex, you took it from me. I wanted to sound
Well,
smart.
I know the English language. It's cool.
Oh, damn it.
The one that we're running right now, Ashley, that is getting really low cost per lead, that has like a crazy amount of likes. Most of our ads don't get a lot of likes because people are tired of seeing ads about how we can help you build a better business, right? So we did one about closing specifically, just sales, to make it focused on one specific thing instead of trying to be the master of everything. And it's a meme of a skeleton like on a bench, right? And it says, waiting for your prospects to get back to you, right? There's like 100 comments on there that it's like, oh my God, this is my life right now, et cetera, et cetera. It's really funny. Like when you have just a random weird ad, things work pretty well. At our last event, we did a photo of me dunking I'm on Pop's shoulders, so I look like a 5-year-old dunking on Brian, which is really funny. That got a lot of love as well. But yeah, it's pretty interesting what you're capable of doing on Facebook. I think testing is the biggest thing, and not being afraid to make the investment, like Cody was talking about. The ROI is there, especially if you feel confident in retaining. I have one more question before we talk POD related to your business. So obviously you had a Frankenstein agency prior to joining. Cody, obviously it was a little different for you, but I would love to hear from you on this. What was it like when I was telling you, hey, this is a Frankenstein agency? What was the business set up as? And now what is the business set up as?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, at the time when, we were really a Frankenstein agency and you're asking that question, I was completely working, in Air Force capacity, doing, 8 to 10 hours there a day. So I was completely removed from the business, but even from the outside looking in, I could tell that Ashley was doing things in social. She's doing things in website, and she's basically just got this huge spattering of business and work that she's, kind of got all under one wheelhouse. Whereas now it's far more directed. It's way easier to, calculate, what ROI is going to look like when you just increase your ad spend by this much and things like that. So it's far more predictable with this model. It's much easier to keep track of everything within the business. I mean, it's cleaner all around, to be honest.
Love it. So Ashley, we spoke before you left Germany, right? I'm pretty sure the first conversation we had was prior to you leaving Germany. Obviously, you're a POD Hall of Famer now. You're both in Scale 7. We're grateful to call you friends as well as clients, and happy to have you on the podcast. First couple and first dual guests, which is super exciting. Why did you join Prospecting on Demand in the first place, Ashley?
Yeah, I knew we needed something, right? And just having that first call with you, I was introduced through, a mutual friend or colleague of ours. And so, Jaime had said great things about POD, and it did, great for him. And I'm like, okay, you're also an agency owner. I've been kind of, playing around with the idea of getting a business coach, but, I don't need just a general business coach. I need somebody that knows exactly what I'm talking about when I'm talking about it, and that can actually give me feedback from a real life standpoint, on my agency. And so after talking to you, I got off the phone and I'm like, Cody, like, okay, we need to make this investment. Like, we got to do this, and he was like, well, let's think about it, and really after a while, we just sat there and we're like, if we don't spend the money, how much money are we losing? How much money are we not making by taking this leap to, trust somebody and helping us grow our business? And, we've definitely grown significantly, not only in our processes and, our ads and things like that, but it's, we've completely went from having, 30 Frankenstein clients that are bringing in X profit to completely replacing those. And then, replacing our income, making more money off of them. Things are repeatable, scalable. And it's like, here's how to do it, run it. And now me and Cody are taking sales calls. So yeah, we knew we needed something to really help us get to the next level of our business.
Huge congrats. I love that. I'm so grateful that we've been a part of this journey with you, and excited for the future as well. It's amazing to see both of your growth. Ashley, for sure, in the idea of going from doing everything, like you're an octopus, like you have all the limbs possible. You are a night owl, you'll work 22 hours. And then Cody, coming from a completely different world and industry, and immediately integrating and being willing to soak it all up and come fight not just for his wife, which I think is an inherent trait, right, Cody? Like, I think we can resonate together on that, but also on the idea of like giving everything he has to realize I don't know everything right now, but I'm going to learn as much as possible, and seeing kind of your level just excel day after day is so impressive. I like to say this to everyone that we do any sort of podcast with, or POD Hall of Famers. Justin Feldman, one of the other Hall of Famers, posted a couple wins in a row in the last few days. And Pop's been really, really helping him in the sales stuff. And he was like, Pop, this is all because of you, man. And Pop sent him this incredibly valuable message back. Like, it is not at all because of me. I'm just giving you the insight. You have to take action on it. You have to implement it. This is all because of you. And I want to tell that to both of you on this call. This is not because of Brian or myself or Shira or Jennifer or Michael or Jeremy or the entire team, Jimmy, John, etc. This is because of you, because of the effort and the work that you put in. And I think anyone listening to this podcast have to understand the investments of finances and time that Ashlee and Cody are willing to put in is why they're booking the appointments. If you're coming to this call with, in this podcast or this video, hoping that there's some secret sauce you're missing in outbound prospecting, that's just not it. You could probably get better at outbound prospecting. You could probably do better with LinkedIn and Instagram and create opportunities, but you will go at a snail's pace in comparison to making the investments to free up your time, go faster, build a better team, and run ads to get you more clients. It's just that simple. And that's why they're on this show. And frankly, why you're not. That's what you should consider. That's what you should be doing. Brian, wrap us up here, Dan. Thank you so much for having us, guys. Hey, truth.
Oh, I'm taking us home. I'll take us home.
You got to take us home. It's your turn. Drive the car, baby.
All right, here we go. Thank you guys again so much for being here. And I would like to just wrap up with the thought, and Ashlee, you had kind of touched on this, but the idea, one of my favorite pieces of content I recently came across was 95% of all of your problems are from conversations you're not having, time you refuse to invest, toxic people you won't cut out, money you won't spend. It's a big one. Money you're not willing to invest in ads, mentorship, etc. And control you won't relinquish. And I think number 5, again, control you won't give up for your team to go do these things. And you guys are starting to do all of those. So really proud of you. Thank you everyone so much. This has been the Get More Clients Show, episode number 25. As always, hit the like button, subscribe wherever the hell you're watching this. I don't know. It's all over the internet. It's in a bunch of cool places. Appreciate your time, everyone, and see you on the next one.
See you, fam.
Guys.
Thanks for having us.